So the first thing in my view that we need to look at is, how are we communicating to people who we are and how we stand out to others? How do we get that message across? And if we're not using the right channels for this, if we're not using the right method, and in this case it's media, for doing this, then we may as well be banging our head against a brick wall. Now, this comes back again, as does much of what we do in the toolbox, this comes back again to your ideal customer, which becomes part of the first step of being a toolboxer. One of the first, the first step is, of course, the specializing, and one of the stages inside of specializing is identifying who your ideal customer is, and everything pretty much stems from that. Because if you're not talking to your ideal customer, then you're going to be attracting the wrong kind of people into your business. Therefore, you're going to end up being that busy fool, chasing your tail, working for people that you don't want to work for, resenting the kind of work that you're doing, and arguing all the time over the price and getting your money and all of this type of thing. So when you understand who your ideal customer is, then you will understand what media they use. And again, if we go back to some of the queries and questions that we get in the toolbox, and people saying, well, I'm very active on Instagram and I'm doing lots of stuff on this, and I'm sending out lots of stuff on that. And that's great if your customer's on Instagram. But if your customer's not on Instagram, you are literally banging your head against a brick wall. Now, I like to generalize and say, in most cases, bearing in mind the 99.9% of the work that we're doing is domestic work, or that we talk about, that we discuss here, I like to bang the drum on about Facebook, because my belief is that every man and his dog is on Facebook. However, that may not be your ideal customer. Your ideal customer may not be a staunch Facebook user. They may be a person who uses LinkedIn quite a lot. Or, they may have Facebook and they may use it a little bit, but they may be using Twitter a lot more than using Facebook. So you've got to understand who your ideal customer is and where are they spending their time. How are they gathering their information? Where do they get that information from? And that's the tool, that's the media that you should be using in order to get your message out about who you are and about positioning yourself. And of course, we've got a number of different ways to actually do that. And again, you've got to consider these, and you've got to think about these purely with your ideal customer in mind. And this comes back to a lot of what I talk about when we are defining your ideal customer. Do not just do something because you heard somebody else is doing it. If somebody else is, let me just see, if somebody else is running a radio ad, all right, if somebody else is going to run a radio ad, and you look at it and you think they're getting really good results, they're running a radio ad and they're getting great results, the phone's ringing all the time, so you're going to try radio ads. And many of you will have done this type of thing, maybe not with radio ads. It could have been anything else. It could have been a banner in a golf club, a advertisement in the back of a rugby magazine. It could be anything that you saw somebody else done and you looked at it and you thought, that's a good idea, I'll give that a try. The problem with that is they may very well have been, well, there's a couple of things. They could have been pissing in the wind. They could have been just trying it and got, no results from it. But if they're getting results from it, they may have been targeting their ideal customer. And you go ahead and you put the ad in and you start getting work or interest from it, but it's not working out for you because you're not converting that work into business. You're not converting those leads into business. Or if you do, they're not the right kind of person for you for whatever reason. And that's because you're targeting in the wrong place. You're following somebody else's footsteps. And it's even, when I say something, when I talk about blogs or I talk about leaflets or I talk about magazine ads, don't go doing it because James said that's the thing to do. You do it because you've done the research on your ideal customer and you've worked out, and you by all means, look at all of the things that I tell you about. But if it doesn't fit with your ideal customer, then it's going to attract the wrong kind of person to you. And within the toolbox, we teach you the whole range of marketing. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to use every single thing that we do. And it doesn't mean to say that every single thing that we teach is perfect for your ideal customer. So find the medium that works for your ideal customer and focus on that. Again, other people will spend a lot of time spreading themselves too thin. They will be on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Snapchat, you name it. They'll do all the media across the board. And of course, you find when you check into it that maybe one or two of those are yielding really good results for them, and the rest of them are just draining their energy because it's taking a lot of time off of them. Yes, they may generate a lot of inquiries, but they may be the wrong kind of inquiries because it's not your ideal customer. So some of the media that you need to look at and you need to consider with your ideal customer in mind is blogs. Are you blogging? Are your customers reading blogs? Now, we, from a toolbox perspective, of course, we look at blogging from a number of different perspectives. One of the main reasons we look at blogging is for the value of SEO, the SEO value behind doing a blog. Now, when we look at that, then we're looking at keyword activation, we're looking at the content, the area, and that type of thing. When we're looking at it for positioning, guys, we're looking at it from a different perspective, okay? So, yes, all of the rules of blogging apply as far as SEO is concerned, but you've got to look at the kind of content that you are producing. Is it the kind of content that your customer is interested in? Is it the kind of content that they will read? And is it the kind of content that moves you up a level within their esteem, or the information that they know or understand about you? Does it give them a little bit more knowledge about who you are? Does it help to position you better than the next guy down the road, better than the other commoditized electricians within your local community? And again, you've got to, it's what is your customer reading that is going to help to elevate your position. So blogging is one. Social media, of course, being on the platforms that your customer is using. So, one of the things that I often recommend is that you get involved in other local groups within your area. And the reason I suggest that you do that is not to go out there blowing your trumpet about how good you are, about use our services, we're the best electricians, we're the cheapest electrician, all that. That's not why you're getting involved in other local groups. You get involved in other local groups so that when somebody asks a question, you're there to actually assist and help with the answer. Now, that question could be related to electrical work. It could be that you can answer the question without jumping in and saying, yeah, we're an electrician, we can run around and help you, and we're very reasonable. No, you go in and you answer the actual question. If somebody's saying, oh, I'm stuck, the light won't work because, then you go in and you answer the actual question, because then, number one, you start to be seen in your local community, positioning, you start to be seen in your local community, but you're seen in your local community to be the helpful guy, not the guy constantly trying to drag work out of people, not the guy constantly trying to get business or squeeze in or whittle in just because somebody has mentioned that they have a problem. But you're the guy who's actually going in and saying, look, why don't you try this? Why don't you do this? Or check out my video on that. Or I've got a PDF document on this. I've got a help sheet on that. So you're actually helping people without saying, call me, I'll come round. I'm the best electrician. I can do this. So being on social media in terms of working with other groups and other communities on social media within your area is about being the guy who's there helping out. Okay, so don't always keep pushing yourself. Look, these people will find you. If you're the guy who's going in the morning and you're checking your group and you find that there's a query or a question, you can go in and you can answer that query or question without bragging and going, hi, I'm James, I'm the electrician, blah, blah, blah. You just go in and say, look, I've been in the industry for 25 odd years. I've had a look. This is what I think your problem is, without too much information. This is what I think your situation is, and this is how I think you need to go about trying to resolve it. They'll find you. They will get, they will then figure out to go to your Facebook page, to connect with you, because you're being helpful. Okay, so social media, print media, we've mentioned already, using things like help sheets, Um, that's a that's a really, really good positioning. People do not underestimate the power of the help sheets. When you have a query with a customer, when a customer stands toe to toe with you and says, "I don't understand why this is happening or why you say that," most customers will automatically have a suspicion filter that goes up automatically. So as soon as you say something along the lines of, "I can't do it because the earthing isn't right," customers filter goes up and they're going, "Bullshit, he's trying to get more money out of me." Yeah. So whether it's a light fitting that has two core cable rather than two core and CPC, or whether it's increasing the size of an RCD or an RCBO, or whether it's switching from RCDs to RCBOs or whatever, and you're standing talking to your customer and they don't understand because they're not electricians, they don't understand the technicalities, they don't understand what it is you actually do. But when they're standing there and you say something that sounds technical or sounds complicated, they automatically have this filter that goes up. And again, like much that goes on with customers, quite often they won't voice their concern. What will often happen is they just internalize this suspicion and that there's something not right about this. He's baffling me with bullshit. I don't know what it is. It's true. He's trying to get some more money out of me. And they're left feeling that little bit of a bad taste in their mouth. Whereas with your help sheets, which every single one of you should be using, with your help sheets, if your customer has a query and you feel that you're going into dealing with technical jargon and stuff, if you're able to pull out a help sheet that you have taken time to write in plain English that explains the situation to the customer, and there are samples in the toolbox, this, there are samples that were created by me, there are samples that were put together by other members, and of course you can create your own. But when you can explain it in layman's terms to the person, and you're not standing there just spouting to them, you actually have a pre-prepared sheet. It shows that you're not bullshitting, you're not making it up on the spot, you're not trying to squeeze some more money out of them. You actually want them to understand what the situation is so that they can make an informed decision. So using your help sheets in that way, toe to toe with customers, is a really good form of positioning yourself. Now, some other members have gone to the stage of taking those help sheets, digitizing them. Say digitize, guys, it's easy. You don't sounds complex. You turn them into a PDF document, which is a straightforward save as PDF, and then upload them to your website so that your customers can, over time, or people within your local community can, over time, download help sheets on various different aspects from your website. A couple of things that happen there: people get to talking about where you can get help and information, drives them towards your website. You can run promotions to that. You can run Facebook campaigns. You can run paid ad campaigns to that, driving people to information about how to do specific things or how to understand specific things. Again, positioning you as the expert in your area. Why? Because no other fucker in your area is doing it, which gives you that leg up. Okay, so that's help sheets. Also, print. Using print again to position yourself is magazines. Most of us, again, when we think about the local community magazines, our first thought goes to producing adverts in these magazines and creating adverts. And of course, that's a really good strategy. However, an even better one is to include, along with your advert, an editorial. And in the editorial, you actually explain some of the stuff that goes on within a person's home. So one of the big examples that I do use is around the Christmas period, is when I encourage, especially when I'm working with people on one-to-one, we're doing business builder, and that we'll talk about around Christmas, is getting all of your local community magazines to publish on your behalf an editorial all about electrical safety in the garden in and around Christmas, because a lot of people are putting up external decorations, they're using makeshift connections and so on and so forth, and to write an article on that and have that published in your local community magazine, again, elevates you in the minds of the people reading that magazine, because you're providing them with helpful information. You're not saying, don't do this, don't put up your decorations, get an electrician in to do it. You're not doing that. What you're doing is you're giving them some safe guidelines on what they should do to make their installation safe. Don't just throw out temporary extension leads out the window and so on and so forth. But you put together a set of hints and tips. That's only one example around the Christmas time. There's lots of different things that you could do. We had a booklet called Electrical Safety in the Home. I used to use it as a lead magnet on my website, but we also serialized that in one of the local community magazines as well. I think it was about a 27-page document at the time. And we serialized it in one of the local magazines that went out on a monthly basis. And each month there was a different aspect of electrical safety in the home. Again, because it's editorial and not advertorial, it's not an ad, well, it is in essence, but because it's not an ad and it's helpful information, it positions you in the mind of the community as somebody who is being helpful, but also somebody who knows what they're talking about and is happy to share that information and share that knowledge with their customers. So a really good positioning piece for that as well. And then, of course, there is video. We've spoken already this morning about doing live video, but video is a fantastic medium for positioning yourself. Look, this is as old as the hills, in the sense that humans, we people, we are predisposed to seeing or to viewing people that we see on the big screen, on television, on a movie screen. We're predisposed to seeing these people as experts, as people who know what they're talking about. I mean, after all, you only ever got on telly if you really knew what you were talking about. In fact, back in the day, you only ever got on radio if you really knew what you were talking about. Now, this medium has opened up to us with the use of live casting, with the Facebook casting, LinkedIn Live, and YouTube, which we've had now for a number of years, and still underutilized. Now, the guys who are using it will tell you, that when they're using it, and I don't mean somebody coming in and just going, oh, I've done a video, I've done one video and I didn't get much results from it. I'm talking about the guys who are actually using video, as in posting stuff regularly and making it a part of their business strategy. They will tell you that it makes a huge difference to their business, whether they're posting on YouTube and then forwarding those videos or sharing those videos on other social media, or whether they're doing live videos. They are getting recognized in their local community. They are going out to do quotes, and people are saying, yeah, I called you because I saw you on YouTube, or I watched your videos. They're recognizing, and they're putting these people, whether you agree with it or not, it's a phenomenon that happens. They're putting these people on a pedestal. Why? Because people look at you and go, God, I couldn't do that. That takes bottle. That takes nerve. You must be really good at what you do. You must be really sure of yourself. You must be really confident because you can do that, right? Even other electricians in your area who won't do it will look up to you because you actually do it. And that's simply because you're prepared to put yourself out there and put your head above the parapet. And the reason why many people don't do it is because they're afraid. They're afraid of judgment. They're afraid that people will look at them. They're afraid that they don't know what they're talking about. And as a result, they will shy away from actually doing it. And that's fine if it's other people, but if it's a toolbox, get out there and freaking well do it, because it is one of those things that is going to position you head and shoulders above everybody else in your local community.